Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to your Friday lighting critique. Today we've got a handful of images to go through. This is a little earlier than I normally do it. And just so you guys know, I am trying to solidify my schedule a little more so I can be more consistent with these. So I can say to you all, as long as you have it posted by 10 a.m. or something, I'll do it. In fact, that's actually what I'm hoping to probably do next week. But I just want to just solidify a few more things. So I think I might be putting the cutoff time at 10 o'clock for these, and then anything, and then doing the recording anywhere from 10 to 2, somewhere in there. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Let's start off with Cleber here. Cleber, we haven't heard from you in a while. It sounds like you're very busy. Happens to the best of us. No worries at all. You've got this character that you've developed. Let's go look into the shaded lip version of him. The one thing that I really like about him is that he's very smooth in his geometry on his face. The one thing I always look for in base models of characters is any sort of jaggedy cheekbones, chins, noses, anything that'll cast a hard, crisp, jaggedy shadow. And you don't really have any of that, and that's a big one. And you can see the results of that. You can see some really nice shaping coming across the forehead here, coming across the chin. It's looking really great. You also got some really nice specularity in the fill values in here, and I definitely like that. The one thing that I would say is, well, two things. One, there's a texturing going on in the shirt here that's creating what's called what we call a moire patterning, and it's just kind of this I'm trying to think of when you see it when you look through screens on Windows or something. It's a very tight pattern that falls below 1 pixel, and what happens is you get this kind of banding wavy effect that happens. And so it's fine on a still image. I mean, it's pretty fine on a still image. It's a little distracting, but it's not bad. But it really, really shows up when you animate a character. So just be very careful of that, because and what the solution is that you have to find what detail is in the geometry or in the shader or texture that's causing this sub-pixel variation. And you just need to, it's almost like removing or softening the detail a little bit in that region, because I'm guessing there's something, some sort of cross-section pattern in there that's super small and causing that issue. In terms of the lighting, the only thing that I would consider is on the fill side of the face, or on the fill side in general. We'll just look at the face for now. The blues are a little bit strong, and I would work. I think greens are okay. I would just pull a little bit of that blue value out of there, and so you can still get a feeling of the that is cool light, but it's not shifting his skin tone into that very blue purple realm. So that would really be my only advice there. And then lastly, be careful, and I talk about this a lot, but just be careful when you're lighting something over black. I'm just going to try a rudimentary putting gray back here, just see if this works. Because basically, let's do it this way. What can happen is you can, so where was magic lasso? Oh, weird. Huh. Really? I can just do that now? Oh, it's calculating it. Oh, I didn't get enough time to calculate. Here we go, Photoshop. Do your thing. Oh, look at that. Very cool. All right, let me inverse that. And now if I just dropped in some gray, what can happen is... Oh, weird. Oh, yeah, I see. What can happen is you can get some dark edging on stuff, and it looks like it's actually part of the background. Yours looks pretty clean, but just one thing to be aware of is you want to go over gray as opposed to just over black to make sure you're not identifying any problems there. All right. So just my advice from years of experience of making that mistake. So because what will happen is there'll be a little bit of darkness that rolls off on his shoulder here, and it rolls in the background. It looks okay over black, but over gray it just gets way too dark back there. All right, cool. So let's hop over into Cat. This is coming together. It's getting better and better with each iteration, which I really like. I love the background of this. It's like, it's a city without seeing too much detail. Same thing on the on this character here. Like you're suggesting things in the shadows and in some of these elements, and it's really, really, really cool. So a couple things to look out for, and again, this might be something to address when you get the new system. There's a lot of like little jaggediness in the neck in here, and it would just be nice if all of that kind of fell into a shadow a little bit more. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but just something to be aware of. I also would like to see if you're able to get some subsurface scattering with the new iteration, just like a little bit of red kind of transmittance coming through the ear there. That would be very cool. Just because there's a lot of rear light and it feels extra solid. So it's really just in this central region here that's getting very dark, just like a little bit of subsurface scattering in there. For the hand, there's a couple things about the hand. Number one, I don't really see it because it's like in the shadow and dark down here. If you want to read it, you're going to want to hit it with the same type of rim light as this to kind of read it in there. Its current position being like kind of between his jacket, there's already like some activity visually in there, so I would maybe, if I was going to use it, I would maybe slide it over here. And so that way the hand can occupy this dead space. The other thing is the scale of the hand feels very small, and now all of a sudden it's a child's hand. You know, like look at the size of his nose. Like his nose is actually further away from the camera, and it's like, let's say it's this big, right? Like that's his nose. And like his entire nose would kind of barely fit into the hand of this child, and so it doesn't. I'm not saying that's wrong or right or anything, but it does change the dynamics of it if it's a child's hand versus an adult hand. The other thing is that, so more rim, scale. The other thing about it is there's a lot of detail in the character, and there's like, there's not a lot of actual detail. There's a lot of suggested detail, and unless you have a hand that really, really, really looks like a hand, or it'll just kind of take away from the image. So I actually think you don't need it. I think if you want to put a character or something in the reflection of the eyes, totally fine. But I would much rather this line continue all the way through here and this hand go away and just be like it could be all about the framing here, and then just really zeroing on the character. I personally don't think the hand is helping us that much. And it's mostly because the other part of the image is so strong. Okay, lastly, let's talk about the cigarette. So we were looking at it, and you said something very interesting in your post where you said like, I'm not quite sure how to get the ash. Then there's the glow. I'm not even really sure if it's possible. And it's whenever I'm feeling that way, it's because you're thinking, or for me anyway, it's because I'm thinking of the problem as an entirety and I'm not breaking it down yet, right? Like I'm saying, I want to make a cigarette look glowy, and then I just start to do what I think looks right. And this is actually where reference comes in. So my question to you is, what makes a cigarette look like it's glowing? What are the visual elements that make that happen? So I pulled up some reference of like close-ups of cigarettes burning as they're being inhaled or as wind's blowing or something. And one of the things that you see is that you've got this is that like it glows around the base of it because that's what's actually being burned, and then this ash actually is not glowy at all. Like it's gray and black, and it's kind of like these jaggedy shapes, and then the glow happens just underneath here. In this one, it sticks out a little bit just because there really isn't any ash, but when there's more ash on the tips of it, you can see a lot more of it there. So we have this glowiness, and then I found this last image. So this kind of falls more into the darkness, the more moodiness, the more film noir feel of your shot. And one of the things I noticed is we're just seeing the glow here, and then the ash itself actually goes dark. So I'm wondering if because again, the rest of these are all kind of daytime sunshine scenes. And this one too, the ash just goes dark. So my question for you is, let's just make the ash on the tip of this, let's just make it darker. Like, what if we just did that? Like, what if we just took this, zoom in. And we just made this darker. Super janky. We can lift that a little bit just by taking down the opacity just a touch. And like, it wouldn't be that dark, but what if we just had, like, let's not amp up, like, because again, it doesn't necessarily need to tell that story. What's the important part is the glowy bit, and this stuff on the tip is just kind of distracting away from that. So let the ash get darker. And that'll focus us on the glow. And then in terms of the glow on the face, it's just a little too red. I would just pull back and add a little more yellow to that to make it a little more orange. Because right now it reads like a brake light is on his face and not like an orangey cigarette glow. And then in terms of the eyes, I know you said you were going to add the components of the eye. I don't necessarily think that's 100% necessary, just because it depends on what you want to do with it, but it's more that, because like we're not going to see them in this low light scenario. So I mean, go ahead and put it in, give it a whirl. But for me, it would just be a matter of adding a very simple reflection, like we talked about before, in there to really help that out. But incredible stuff so far. Your best work yet, and excited to see where it goes. All right, Rick. So yes, I agree with you that I would love more chance to light during the week. I would like more hours in the week, and that would be great. So for you, my question is, so this is a screen grab from Nuke, and I'm unsure of a few things. Number one, like, something feels wrong to me in that, like, I see a lot of like horizontal lines going across here. Like there's banding of something happening here, and I'm not quite sure what it is. So I would look into that, because I think not only is it adding banding, it's actually like making the image brighter. Because like, look how dark the shadows are here versus like here versus here. Like there's something being overlaid over top of the image that's lighting it, and you can see it. Like if you look up around the edge here, there's a line right here that kind of separates two. So it's almost like something isn't being reformatted correctly. So just look into that. In terms of, I gave away my thing. So this is what is the submission. So in terms of the character itself, I think the character can go warmer. And that, because I'm looking at skin tone, and skin tone feels a little green, which again, it's in a green environment. That's not outside the realm. Like, I get where your head's at there, but we want to make sure the skin is warm and soft and really kind of feeling that element to it. I'm reluctant to give more notes because I'm just not sure with these lines over top. But I do think it's coming along really nicely. The other thing we're looking for is there some shadows, I think, being cast down here from these lights, from some light coming in this way, when in reality it feels like the key light is coming in this way. And therefore these shadows, especially these very sharp shadows around the base here, don't make much sense. So my guess is that's coming from like some sort of a rim light or a fill light or something coming in from this side. So if that's the case, make sure you just increase the radius of that light to soften these shadows so you don't see that. But let's start there, and then let's really focus on getting whatever is over top of this image turned off, and then and feel free to render it out. You don't have to do a screen grab from Nuke. You can just create a render node, pass it out, and that way we can actually see it through the whole process and see if there's any problems with the output of the file as well. But this is really good. You've made so much progress on this, and it's so exciting to see. And to all of you, I hope you guys have a lovely weekend if I don't hear from you. Like I said, I'll circle back and check in. It's just today's a little goofy because it's my son's second birthday today. And so we're going to try and do a little something special with him today. So wanted to get on and do this a little bit earlier. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and a very happy lighting to all of you.